I've been talking about tonight's film for a long time. Even way before I was in what we're doing today. Um, I used to do written reviews a long time ago, and I did a review on this. Worked for a small magazine. I did that, and I did some online stuff many, many years ago before I even had these platforms. But even with that said, as long as the quest has been going on, back when the quest was strictly for sci-fi, because that's, if anyone who knows, that's how the quest review started. I have been talking about this film and how much of a great film it was, but I was solely going off of memory. I hadn't watched it in a long time, and that's always a dangerous thing, because as you watch something, you remember it fondly because of who you were at the time when you watched it. But tonight, we got to rewatch it, and we got to do a final official review for the Quest and Hueless Vision, and we're going to see if it's held up. So tonight, we are talking Interstellar. And I got some things to say about it, so I hope you enjoy. But before we get out, let's get it out the way, because we only have a little bit of time to get this stuff done. So make sure you go to huelessvision.com. You see it on screen. Everything you need is there. Everything from the merch store, everything from every episode that I do, whether it's Quest, Grim Tales, gaming, it doesn't matter. It's all there. You'll be able to find the merch store. You'll be able to find the full schedule. You'll be able to find all the links and everything to where I am, whether it's YouTube, Twitch, TikTok, Rumble, so forth and so on. It's all there. Check it out. huelessvision.com. Also, make sure to leave comments wherever they might be. If you're on YouTube, they're down below. If you're on any other platform, find them, leave comments. I love to talk to you guys, and I want to hear what you guys think about what I have to say and your thoughts on the film. But keep it spoiler free, as always, because that's how we do things. We want to keep things spoiler free. If you want to talk spoilers, send me a private message, and maybe we might turn it into a podcast. I don't know, but that is how we go about it. Do not spoil the film in the comments, because that is a good way to get yourself removed. Make sure to like, follow, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to stay up to date with everything that I do. And if you love movie reviews, we do a couple of them every week. Every week we do it. We do a Quest review and a Grim Tales Deep Cuts review. If you like horror movies, we do a weekly horror movie review over on Friday's Quest on the Grim Tales Deep Cuts. And here we do on the Quest reviews everything else. So if you love movies and you love to see what movies, what I think of them and what you might want to watch, make sure to hit that like and follow button to stay up to date with the movies that I do here on the platforms. So again, make sure to like, follow, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to stay up to date. But with all that said, let's get into the movie that we need to talk about, and that is Interstellar. I'm just going to go off record. I said a long time ago that this was a beautiful movie. I have learned a few things watching it now. After all these years, I have learned something. And I will say this. Before I go into praising. I will say that now watching it after all these years, this movie may not be for everybody for a multitude of reasons. It is very narrative driven. If you like a lot of boom boom and pow pow, probably not. I've gotten a lot of slack. A lot of people like other movies that were very narrative driven movies. And now that's not to say that this movie doesn't have great cinema moments. It's not just talking, but it is very narrative driven. It does a lot of talking, especially with the length. Getting into that, this is a very long movie. And this ain't a director's cut. This is actually the movie. And I've heard a lot of people complain about that. Looking up, doing research, some of the complaints that people have had about this movie was that it drags on. And I will say that at times, for people who are maybe not as invested into the story, the pacing might be a problem. They do stop to talk about scientific stuff and stuff like that. And if you're not really a nerd into the science of these things, then you may not care about those things, and it might feel like it drags on and the pacing may hurt for you. Me personally, I'm a big nerd when it comes to space and science and shit like that. So them explaining stuff that actually is fairly accurate to a lot of the things that we know now, which is actually quite impressive for a movie, because a lot of movies usually take very large liberties with that, was actually quite well. But if you're not into that, this movie might feel like it drags on. But again, regardless of that, it has a really, really deep story. Like, for a movie that's really seated in science, the emotional impact that I think this movie delivers is really heavy. It's a really beautiful movie. It explores so many different things visually, emotionally. In my opinion, and a lot of other people's opinions too, I would like to say that this is a top movie for Matthew McConaughey. If not, in my opinion, one of his best movies, I think. Now, again, I love Matthew McConaughey. Sorry, I'm having an issue saying his name tonight. Matthew McConaughey is a great actor. He's a very diverse actor too. He can do comedy roles. He can do serious roles. He can do action roles. It's really weird to see a very diverse, because a lot of people get typecast. Matthew McConaughey is not really one of those actors that have gotten typecast. You can see him in all kinds of shit. And this is a good example of that. And I love him as an actor. I think this is not the movie that put him on the radar for me, but it definitely was, probably out of all the movies he's done, is the one that stood out the most. And everybody else did a great job. It had a really good cast. Everybody did an amazing job acting. The only thing that, again, is a problem for this film is probably the pacing, because it is so long. And I'll get to the length of it here in a little bit. But it is a very long movie. So if you can't hold on to it, it's a shame, right? Because you really need to make it through to the end of this movie. You really do. I think it has a very impactful ending. Matthew McConaughey's performance in this, it's gut-wrenching. It's really deep. I think he did a great job, and seeing him in that deep moment is really, really wonderful. And I love it. I love what he's done. I can't praise him enough for this film. And it was really scary. It was really scary watching this movie again after all these years. Because again, when you have something that you love so much, a movie that you adore so much, and you haven't seen it in so long, you're only really going off of memory. And it's really risky, especially if you're doing a review like I am. You might not get the same feeling. You might not get the same response that you did when you initially watched it. Because I remember seeing this movie when it first came out, and it blew me away. So watching it after all these years, I was quite afraid of what I was going to think of it now. And you know what? Again, there were certain things that I forgot, and then immediately remembered once they popped in. I was like, oh yeah, I remember that now. But even then, there was a lot of things that I completely forgot about. And I enjoyed seeing them again. Everybody did an amazing role acting. The visuals, the sound, the direction, everything was really well done in this. And if you are the type of person that enjoys those things, visuals, deep story, good cinematics too as well, as far as like the action scenes and the visuals and stuff, all that stuff was really well done. By no means was it the best movie I've ever seen, but it was up there. And the soundtrack. I mean, this movie delivers one of the most iconic theme songs for a movie. This theme song has been heard by everybody. Everybody knows the Interstellar theme song. Even if you don't know it's the Interstellar theme song, you've heard it in something. It's a very, very popular thing because, it's so catchy and it's so deep and so emotional. So we got that from this. So I really think this is a movie that everyone should try to see. But I do acknowledge that a movie of this length and of this magnitude is not for everybody. It's not everybody's thing. So I understand that. Watching it now, after all these years of pushing it to people saying, man, you need to see this. I get it. Maybe it might not be the movie for everybody. But I do think it should be given a chance. I really, really appreciate this movie. Now, let's go into some information before we go into the scores, because that's what we do. This movie came out November 5th, 2014. So it has been a little over a decade since this movie came out, and it has aged quite well. Visuals hold up. Everything holds up. I don't think that there was much wrong with this film as far as age-wise. So it has aged quite well. I appreciate that. It's been 11 years since this movie. Actually, a little less than 11 years because it was November, but almost 11 years. Wait, no. Wait. Yeah, whatever. It's been over a decade, okay? So again, it's aged quite well. The style of this film, I would say it is a sci-fi thriller. It is really good, has all the space elements, has quite a lot of sci-fi elements to it. And of course, it has a lot of thriller because a lot of tense moments and so forth and so on. There's quite a lot of tension. So, yeah, sci-fi thriller definitely earns that. It's rental and buy information, $3.99. If you do not have the streaming service or it is not available anymore on the streaming service that it's on right now, the rental price for this is fair. $3.99 is not a bad price for this film, and I don't think that most will be disappointed with it. The problem is, again, I understand now that this might not be the movie for everybody, so just take that for what it is. I think it's a great movie, but you might not be into heavily narrative-driven films or really long movies. And if that's the case, then maybe it's not for you, but I really think you should give it a shot. The buy purchase, you guys know how I feel about buying. Again, I haven't taken it out yet. Eventually I will. But the buy for it is $14.99. Take that as you will. It is streaming on Paramount Plus, though. So if you have Paramount Plus, it is streaming on there. So keep that in mind. It's not a bad way to do it. So check it out. Again, it is long. So yeah, you might be mad about the time you've lost if you didn't like it. But I mean, that's not too bad. But again, if it's not available on that as of the time you're watching this, $3.99 is not bad. The budget for this film was $165 million. You can feel it. You can 100% feel the budget in this. It definitely went hard with its budget, and I appreciate that. It did. The visuals and everything were so well done. Bravo on the $165 million. I've seen movies with more than this and do shittier jobs. So bravo on that. Now, the box office, and this is why I applaud this. This did so well, and for the people who didn't like it, fair enough. But man, obviously people liked it because in its total run, and this has had a couple stints in theaters. It's had its initial box office run, which I think it did 500 million-ish so. But then it released again in theaters a couple times after that. And it has a total now of $758.6 million off of a budget of $165 million. So that is in every definition a success, if not a box office blowout, a complete success. So bravo. You don't see those very often. The runtime, though, is what we've been hinting at this whole time, and I will tell you now right now, this is why it might not be for everybody. The runtime for this movie is 2 hours and 49 minutes. So if you don't like long movies, it might not be the one for you, but I really strongly advise you making it to the end and getting to the entire story of this because it's a very well told story, and I think it is worth the almost 3 hours for it. With that said, let's get into the scores, because we're almost at that time. We have 5 categories that one of them change every week. Those 5 categories are story, acting, pacing, tension, and production. We score all 5 of those 1 through 5, 1.5, 2.5, and so on if needed. If it's below a 1, we give it a pile. If it's above a 5, we give it a seal. After those 5 categories, we give our overall score, and we score that 1 to 10, 1.5 and 2.5, and so on if needed, and pile and seal are in effect. So with that said, let's get to our scores. What did I give the story for Interstellar? I gave the story a 4.5. I think it was a beautiful story, very well told, very long, and if you can make it to the end, you'll understand why it's such a good story. I think 4.5 is fair, very well told, very worth it. I think most people will enjoy it, especially if you're a sci-fi thriller fan. You will enjoy the story. Matthew McConaughey, again, I will get to that, drive that story. And everybody else did too. I'm not taking away from them, but I'm just saying, we'll get to that in a second. The acting, what did I give the acting? I've praised this throughout this entire show. I give the acting a 5. I don't give many 5s or seals for acting. It's very rare that I do that, but I think this earned it. I almost want to give it a seal, but I'm trying to be fair. The acting wasn't a seal, but it was really good, and I give it a 5. Matthew McConaughey did an amazing job, and so did everybody else that was part of this film. Bravo on the acting performance. I think it was well done. Very well done. Let's move on to the pacing. Probably the only weak point of this film, because of the length of it, the pacing is probably the only thing that is probably the hurtful thing. I gave it a 2.5. I can see where some people would slip and some people would start to go, oh man, this is going on too long. Because they're going to talk about a lot of shit you may not care about. They're going to do, there's a lot of dialogue and a lot of science. If you can read in between all that, it's so worth it. Or if you're like a super nerd like I am, it all is going to be enjoyable no matter what. But I can be fair and tell you that yes, maybe the pacing might be an issue, but I don't think it hurts the film in its entirety. If you don't mind watching long movies that can have long dialogue points, then it's not too bad. 2.5 is what I give the pacing. Tension. What did I give the tension score? I gave it a 4. The tension, at times, you really were on the edge of your seat. You're like, oh, gives you those butt-clenching moments, those things you wonder what's going to happen. There are some twists and shit. There's actually quite a few twists and a big twist, and maybe you might be able to predict it, but I don't think you'd be able to predict the outcome of how it got to that point. But regardless, the tension was really well done, and I appreciated that. So yeah, a 4 is definitely worth it. And let's move on to the production, last of the 5. The production, no shocker that I give it a 5. I think it did a grand old job at delivering what it did. The budget was utilized very well. Visuals were great. Soundtrack was off the wall and amazing. Everything was good. Camera work was good. Everything. It was all good. CGI in this film was really good. So 5 all around. Not a bad film. And it has aged well. For a film that is over a decade old, it still holds up today. That being said, let's get into the overall score. What did I give the overall score of this film? I'm sorry, got a brain fart there. Of Interstellar. What did I give the overall score? I gave it a 9. That is right. I think again, you probably thought I was going to give it a seal. No, I'm not going to give it a seal. It's a great movie, but I don't think it deserves a seal. But a 9, I think, is quite fair. I still usually don't go that high for films unless it's early earned. 9 is fair for this film. I hope this makes the top list at the end of the year for this year. So yeah, 9 Interstellar. Check it out. If you can get through the almost 3 hours, it's totally worth it. It's totally worth the watch, and it will go down as a classic. If it's and it is already. But I think it would be, I think it would be on your list of classic movies that you've seen in your lifetime. It is really deep, has a great story, and so forth and so on. So definitely give it a shot. It's worth it. I don't think you'd be disappointed, especially at Paramount Plus. It's not a wasteful watch. I don't think. That being said, though, it is time for us to get the hell out of here. I hope you enjoyed the show, guys. You know I enjoy being here every week doing these reviews for you guys. It's why I do it, right? I mean, it's what we're all the way in. We've been doing. We are so far in. I think this is not the longest running IP that I have, but the longest running concurrent IP that I have. So take that for what you will. I do appreciate you guys showing up. Make sure to get to the website, hulisvision.com. It's very important. Everything is there. Everything from every episode that I do, whether it's this show or other shows. You'll be able to watch those. You'll be able to find the merch store. You'll be able to find the full schedule. You'll be able to find links to everything else that I do. It's all there on the website, hulisvision.com. Check it out. Everything is there. Communication, everything. Make sure to leave comments if you're on YouTube. You'll see them down below. If you're on any other platform this is being aired on, you'll find them somewhere on screen. Make sure to leave your comments. I want to hear from you guys. Leave your feedback, but don't leave any spoilers. Spoilers will get you removed. If you want to talk spoilers, do it privately. Send me a DM and we will talk, and maybe we might get on a podcast because podcasts are made for spoiling. But these shows are not. So don't spoil it in the comments for everybody. But leave me your thoughts. Let me know what you thought of the show. Get in those comments. I want to talk to you guys. Make sure to like, follow, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Stay up to date with everything I do across the board. And if you like movie reviews, then you definitely should hit those buttons, because I do multiple reviews a week. I do one Quest review every week, which covers every other category of movie besides horror. And then on Grimtail's Deep Cuts every week, I do a horror movie review. So if you like movies, I do a couple a week every week, and I've been doing them for a while. So make sure to hit that like and follow button, because you don't want to miss it. You don't want to miss it. If you want to know what to watch, or you want to know what to avoid, or you just want to have an idea, make sure to like and follow, because I'll leave it for you. I mean, I do a lot of them. I like to consider myself a pretty decent movie buff, and I like to watch movies. So again, do those things. Like, follow, subscribe, and hit those notification bells to stay up to date with everything that I do across the board. But with that said, it's time for me to get the hell out of here, guys. I hope you enjoyed the rest of the show. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you on the next one. Until then, peace out, peeps, and I'll see you when I see you.
Girl, I love you through and through. I put you through hula hoops. Arguments about who and who. I'm focused on me and you. I know when the love is real, but also when the love is gone. Hit me out on how you feel. Tell me now what's going on.
Again and again, yeah, again and again. Another boy, another night, another friend of a friend. Again and again, yeah, again and again. I can't even see the bottom.
Why'd you have to leave me heartless? Baby, you're my biggest problem. Even when the Silverado not starting and it's early in the morning, baby, it's still better than you. Why'd you have to leave me heartless? Heartless. Why'd you have to leave me heartless? Heartless. Why'd you have to leave me heartless? Baby, you're my biggest problem. Even when the Silverado not starting and it's early in the morning, baby, it's still better than you. Why'd you have to leave me heartless? Heartless. Why'd you have to leave me heartless? Heartless.
Again and again, yeah, again and again. Another boy, another night, another friend of a friend. Again and again, yeah, again and again. I can't even see the bottom.